Hello YouTubers! I will be going through this week's games, review last week's tips and leaderboard of our footy tip comp, and also go through my Brownlow Votes for season 2025. Let's look at the top 3 of my leaderboard for the 2025 Brownlow Votes after round 10. In top spot, we have B. Smith Geelong on 20 votes, and in second spot, we have N. Dacos Collingwood with 14 votes. Then 6 players tied in third spot for 13 votes are C. Sarong Fremantle, T. Liberatore Western Bulldogs, Z. Merritt Essendon, C. Rosie Port Adelaide, and A. Brayshaw Fremantle. These are my top 3 for the 2025 Brownlow Votes after round 10. These are my tips for round 10. Not good enough. 5 out of 9. Got 5 wrong. But there were some upsets. The Lions losing to Melbourne at home. St Kilda losing at West Coast. Just a number of upsets I can anticipate. Let's see how I went for the Talking Everything AFL leaderboard. In top spot, or 2 players equal in top spot on 58 votes are Patrick L. 32 and Potter 1. Then you got me Talking Everything AFL with 56 votes in third spot. And in fourth spot, we have I Am Hacks with 55 votes. These are the top 4 for the Talking Everything AFL footy tips. Let's see how I go for round 11. Alright, come on. Before we continue, I would like to ask for a very small favour. If you enjoy this AFL content, please take a sec to subscribe to the channel and like the video. That would be awesome. Okay, let's return back to the show. The first game of the week played on the Thursday night is between Geelong Cats and the Western Bulldogs at GMHBA Stadium in Geelong. Last week, Geelong had a magnificent 76-point win over the Power in Adelaide, and the Doggies demolished Essendon Bombers by 91 points. The players in the mix for the Cats are Stevens, Wilkshire, Polkinghorne and Stanley. For the Doggies, their players in the mix are Gardner, Buslinger and Gallagher. The players injured for the Cats are Burke, Conway, Edwards, Niebert, Kodatsky, Martin, Dangerfield and Bowes. For the Doggies, they'll be missing Croft, Darcy, Garcia, Jones, Chalor and Waitman. Where the game will be won at, it's pretty even between the two sides. In the midfield ruck setup for the Geelong Cats shot Litkaz, Smith, Atkins, Myers, Holmes, Dempsey, whereas the Doggies they've got English, DeBont, Lever, Richards, Williams and Fraser. Just looking at these two sides midfields, it's pretty even and I can't break the difference. And given that the game is just playing Geelong, I cannot separate the two sides. The only reason why I'm going to tip Geelong because it's played in Geelong. And that's the reason, but it's going to be a good close game on Thursday night. The second game of the week, played on a Friday night at the MCG, is between Essendon Bombers and Richmond Tigers. The players in the mix for the Bombers are Tazastas, Clark and Johnson. For the Tigers, their players in the mix are Tracy, Olga and Gray. The players injured for the Bombers are Bryan, Draper, Edwards, Hayes, Jones, Nguyen and Ridley. So many players out. For the Tigers, they'll be missing Armstrong, Kalinia, Gipkus, Houghton, Lofu, Prestia, Ryan, Smile, Young, and Bolter are big out. Where the game will be won at, it's Essendon's forward line and Richmond's defence. In the forward line for the Bombers, you got Perkins, Caddy, Martin, Langford, Wright, and Kako. In defence for the Tigers, you got Banks, Brown, Broad, Walstein, Miller, and now they had to find a replacement for Bolter. Will it be first year player Luke Traynor? Peter Wright against Luke Traynor? Looking at the two teams forward and defence respectively, I expect Essendon to kick more goals than Richmond, and therefore I'm going to tip Essendon to beat Richmond Tigers by 15 points, especially having that 91 point loss to Western Bulldogs last week. You expect Essendon to perform a lot better this week. The next game of the week is played on a Saturday lunchtime between Carlton Blues and GWS Giants. The Blues lost to Sydney Swans by 16 points away, and the Giants lost to Fremantle by 34 points at home. Very disappointing. The players in the mix for the Blues are DeConning, McGovern, Doherty and Williams. For the Giants, their players in the mix are Angrove, Alir and Delana. The players injured for the Blues are Akers, Cottrell, Cohen, Fantasia, Kemp, Newman and Smith. For the Giants, they'll be missing Daniels, Kelly, Smith and Stringer. Number of players out. Where the game will be won at, it's the ruck midfield setup of both teams respectively. For Carlton, under the assumption that DeConning is back, in ruck we've got DeConning, then you have the midfields of Cripps, Hewitt, Binns and the two Holland brothers on the respective wings. For the Giants, you got Bricks and ruck with the midfields of Bradford, Tom Green, Ware, Callaghan and Ward. I like Carlton's midfield. They have more balance where you expect Cripps in the inside and players like Hewitt can go inside and also extract a bit on the outside with the Holland brothers running on the outside, especially Ollie Hollands. And I expect Carlton to have more inside 50 than the Giants. And I want to tip Carlton to win by 15 points, where I expect Kerner and McKay to kick more goals compared to Hogan, given that Stringer is out injured. And the second key forward for the Giants is Cadman. Fourth game of the week, played on a Saturday afternoon, is between Hawthorn Hawks and Brisbane Lions. The players in the mix for the Hawks are Gunston, Bruce, Frost, Rees and Sarong. For the Lions, their players in the mix are Berry, Gallup, Ford and Robinson. The players injured for the Hawks are Day, Lewis and McKenzie. For the Lions, they'll be missing Day, McCarthy, Ryan and Smith. Just looking at the two sides, they're pretty even, both good sides. Teams that I expect to make the top 4 and preliminary final of this season in 2025. The game is played in Melbourne. The only thing I can separate is the break. The Lions play on a Sunday and this game's on a Saturday. Therefore, the Lions only have a 6-day break, whereas Hawthorn played on the Thursday night in Darwin. They get a 9-day break. And given that Hawthorn's got an extra 3 days advantage, the game is played in Melbourne. The two teams are even. I'll give Hawthorn the win by 11 points. The next game, played on a Saturday night, is between Nth Melbourne and Collingwood at Marvel Stadium. For the Kangaroos, their players in the mix are Curtis, back from suspension, Fisher, Phillips and Dawson. Collingwood, their players in the mix are Schultz, Moore, Dean and Marchek. The players injured for the Kangaroos are Archer, Bergman, Coleman Jones and Goda. The players injured for the Maggies are Tagoe, Harrison, Johnson, McRae, McInnes and McStay. Where the game will be won at, I won't go into too much detail in this because Collingwood, they're the best team right now. Top 2 on fire, just winning all their games, home and away, close games. Nth Melbourne, second bottom, haven't won that many games, and just based on where the two teams are at, Collingwood in premiership window, Nth Melbourne having a lot of young players playing, and there's a lot of class difference between the Collingwood team and Nth Melbourne, and I expect Collingwood to beat Nth Melbourne by 28 points, even though the game's at Marvel Stadium. The next game of the week is played on a Saturday night in Perth, Western Australia at Optus Stadium. Fremantle had a magnificent 34-point win at GWS Giants home, whereas Port was very disappointing and lost to Geelong Cats by 76 points at home. The players in the mix for Fremantle are Darcy, Reddy, McDonald and Aish. For the Power, their players in the mix are Sweet, Boak and McEntee. The players injured for Fremantle are Fife, Jones, O'Meara, Narkle, Sturt, Walker, Walters and Young. So many players out. For the Power, they'll be missing Cochran, Farrell, Lai, Lukosius, Marshall, Moss. Now you can add Sin, Lachlan Jones and Big Blow, Horn Francis. Where the game will be won at, it's the ruck midfield setup of the two respective sides. For Fremantle, we got Darcy in ruck with Sarong, Brayshaw, Bolton, Johnson and Sharp. Whereas the Power, we got Vistini ruck with Drew, Butters, Mead, Bergman and Burgoyne. Just look at the two teams' respective ruck midfield setup. I see more class in Fremantle, where you got your Sarong, Brayshaw and Bolton, and Port Alec. They just have Butters, as unfortunately Horn Francis is out with injury. I expect Fremantle to provide more inside 50 to their forwards compared to Port, and therefore there's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities for Tracy, Ross and Amos to kick a big score. And therefore I'm going to tip Fremantle to beat Port Adelaide by 18 points. The next game, played on a Sunday lunchtime, is between Adelaide Crows and West Coast Eagles at Adelaide Oval. The players in the mix for the Crows are Pedler, Draper, Cook and Shaw. For the Eagles, their players in the mix are McGowan, Allen, that's Boy Allen, and Williams. The players injured for the Crows are Crouch, Murphy, the two Murray brothers, and Strawn. For the Eagles, they'll be missing Chester, Jameson, Petrocelli, Sheed, and Yo. Where the game will be won at. Adelaide is in the top 6. West Coast Eagles are dead last. West Coast Eagles are playing so many kids and are in a full rebuild mode. Adelaide is trying to contend for finals. They're in the top 6. The two sides are in different parts of where they were at in terms of this build. Crows are starting to generate a lot of experience and the team building for finals or trying to make finals. Whereas Eagles are in a full rebuild mode. And just look at the age profile of the two respective sides. The Eagles are young. The Crows are starting to become a mid-mature side. And therefore, I'm going to tip the Crows to win easily by 45 points after their loss to Collingwood last week by 10 points. The next game, played on a Sunday afternoon, is between Melbourne Demons and Sydney Swans at the MCG. The players in the mix for the Demons are Fullerton, Laurie, and Howes. For the Swans, their players in the mix are Mills, Adams, Hanley, and McLean. The players injured for the Demons are Hoare, McAdam, Warney, and Moitz Wakefield. For the Swans, they'll be missing Andrew, Cunningham, Detoli, Edwards, Gordon, McDonald, Melican, Papley, Amadi, and McInerney also suspended. Where the game will be won at, it's a flip of a coin. You don't know what Melbourne Demons team you're going to get, and the form of Sydney, it's been inconsistent, and just in a flip of a coin with no science to it, I'm going to tip Sydney to beat Melbourne Demons by 8 points in a close game. The last game played on Sunday is between St Kilda Saints and Gold Coast Suns. The players in the mix for the Saints are Wood, Boxshell, Boyd and Shawmaker. For the Suns, their players in the mix are Jepson, Lemons and Reed. The players injured for the Saints are Cordy, Dow, Howard, King and Taru, who's suspended. For the Suns, their players that they are missing are Bala, Berry, Graham, Farah, Rogers and Weller. Where the game will be won at, it's the ruck midfield setup of the two respective sides. For the Saints, you got Marshall and ruck with the midfields of McRae, Steele, Wood, Sinclair, Hill. Whereas the Suns, they've got Witts in ruck with the midfields of Humphreys, Anderson, Rao, Fiorani, Closely. Just looking at the balance of the Suns ruck midfield setup, they have a good balance. They got outside of Anderson, inside outside Humphreys. Rao can go inside and extract the ball. Whereas the Saints have more hard inside mids, McRae and Steele. And I expect the Suns to provide more inside 50s and give enough opportunities for King and Long to kick a big score. And I want to tip Gold Coast Suns to beat St Kilda Saints by 18 points. My tips for round 11 games are all home sides of Geelong, Essendon, Carlton and Hawthorn to win their games. Collingwood to beat Nth Melbourne at Marble, Fremantle and Adelaide Crows to win their 2 home games, and the Swans and the Suns to win their respective away games. Thank you for watching my video, and it will be appreciated if you can subscribe and comment to my videos. Hopefully you enjoyed my video, and see you next time. Cheers or bye.